Thank you. Hi, I'm Rachel. I lead T-levels in our large comprehensive school in the southeast. We've got 300 students plus in our sixth form, and a growing percentage of those are moving on to our T-level programs and including our T-level foundation program. We started our T-level journey last year with our first cohort, and I started the mixed management role last year with the first cohort. And I designed and developed and implemented our T-level foundation program, as well as supporting our subject leads implementing the T-level, traditional T-levels. We have a new build T-level centre. Actually, there's an error on my slide. I apologise. We actually recently opened our new T-level centre, which is state-of-the-art building we got capital funding for, that is now kind of the home and the identity, or helps form the identity of our T-level programme. We have about 20 students roughly each year joining our T-level foundation programme. Last year, 4 of those students progressed onto our T-level. As we go through the presentation, I'll give you a bit of context as to why that figure's not higher, but why we are very proud of those 4 students who did progress. And unique to our context is we have specialist resource units within our school for students with physical disabilities and hearing needs. And those students are members of our T-level cohort and the members of our T-level foundation cohort. So in terms of us having to differentiate our course outcomes for a huge variety of needs, that is definitely something we've prioritised within our curriculum planning. So in thinking about how we designed our programme and how we've refined it as we've gone through the course, we kind of started with this question at the very beginning: what makes a student T-level ready? Because our ambition is that our students who join us on our foundation will become a significant proportion of our T-level uptake in the next year, that their second year sixth form. So we looked at what we need them to be like at the end of the cohort and really where they are at the start. And kind of this, I suppose, fits a bit into our diagnostic process as well. Fundamental is the English and maths provision. And we have made that an absolute cornerstone of our provision and really put a significant amount of resources into developing the students' English and maths, not just because it makes them T-level ready, but because it makes them world ready. And I don't think it's a difficult pathway for children who leave school without their English and maths qualifications. So we really prioritise that. We do have a digital foundation, and we do need that digital foundation, not just because the T-level demands it, but because also the workplace that comes with the T-level demands it. And so we've worked to integrate that in a variety of different ways within our different threads of our foundation programme. The employability core is really important to us, and we've prioritised the fact that we need students to be able to go into the workplace at T-level level, and be able to represent the school and to build good relationships with their employers. When we put a student in placement at T-level level, we need them to thrive, because we want to sustain that relationship, as well as, and as much as we want them to have a wonderful educational experience that supports their learning. And that's kind of the other side of why a level of employability skills are so important for T-level students, because, and I was saying this to the team earlier before we started the session today, that the difference that we see with our T-level students once they have had a really successful work placement in terms of their academic outcomes is really, really significant. But where students have had less successful placements at T-level, it's been potentially because of employability skill gaps. So if we're able to start building the foundation of those in our foundation programme, it sets those students up for greater success when they move through to T-level. And we also, one of the kind of hallmarks and cornerstones of our sixth form experience is we demand a lot from our students beyond just what they do in the classroom. There's a huge amount of opportunity for them, in terms of enrichment and in terms of personal development, but also in terms of student leadership. And we expect them to engage with that. And actually, to be just a sixth form student in our setting, you need to engage with the wider school. And T-level foundation students come to us with a variety of reasons and a variety of barriers as to why they've not got onto a T-level programme or onto an A-level programme. And sometimes there can be some challenges around their engagement in wider school life. So we've put things purposely through our T-level programme to help build and develop that kind of engagement with the school community and that engagement with our wider community, and like modelling what we expect from a very successful T-level and sixth form student. So a really good example of that forthcoming, I'm taking the students out next week with all the foundation cohort, and we're going to go and deliver presents and parcels to old people's homes in the local area. And that's an event they're going to run and manage and have ownership of, because we really, really believe in fostering that skill and that kind of that attitude within our sixth form. Our ambition with our programme is that we want to add value to the students from an academic perspective. We want them to leave our programme more academically competent than when they started, and that includes adding to their breadth of qualifications. And we also want their technical skills to develop. So that could be their ability to, if they're going onto a health pathway, to understand healthcare skills and be able to understand patient needs if they're going to a health setting, or for business management, it could be that they've been able to develop things like their ability to write professional communications. We want our students to be engaged. Again, we do face barriers with some of our learners on a level 2 program, and the more we can engage them with the program, the more we can make them feel ownership of it. I think the better they're going to do, and the more they're going to succeed, and the more they're going to engage. We want the students to be upskilled. I want my kids to leave, if they're not sticking with us, I want them to leave with a decent reference from their work experience. And I want them to be able to leave with a portfolio of things they've achieved. They can sit in an interview and say, well, I achieved this and I achieved this. And when I was doing this, I did this. Because I want their foundation experience to keep a lot of doors open for them. And one of those is boosting those skills that will help them get into their first jobs. We have worked hard to build accountability into our T-level foundation program. So where we've gone down, some of our pathways, we don't have qualifications, but we have had to build in accountability points. Simply because we recognise that supports with student engagement. We want to see personal growth, personal development, and we want our students to be workplace ready. So in terms of English, maths and digital, we've upped our offer to 4 lessons a week of English and 4 lessons of maths. And we've really thought carefully about the timing and the staffing of these. What historically we would do is we would create our 6th form timetable, and then we would try and work out where we could fit in the English and the maths. And we would look at where there was capacity in the department, and it was a secondary timetabling process. And we actually just got rid of that this year. And we have worked out in our day, when is the most productive time? When are we going to put the English and maths lessons? So it normally falls 2nd or 3rd lesson of the day. And we've prioritised the staff who are delivering that. There are some staff who are just fabulous at working with level 2 learners, the kind of staff that children want to show up for their lessons, and then they have a wonderful experience with. And, the kind of teacher that at the end of every lesson will let us know if there's been an attendance issue, let us know if there's been some kind of issue with concentration. And so we've prioritised putting the very best staff in our teams for that cohort with those students. And then within our English and maths, we actually have pathways. So not all of our students are retaking English and maths. Some of them are doing either or, but we enter all the students for a GCSE retake in November and a GCSE retake in the summer, but the intensity of the lessons that they are attending can change after the November resit. So we might move them down to slightly less lessons, or we might add in functional skills on top of the GCSE for some students as well. So maybe our students who are struggling with 1s and 2s might study for the GCSE and functional skills at the same time. Our T-level foundation program has a range of threads within it. So we have our employability skills are delivered through the WOW, which is the world of work. And that is a range of lessons that are, there's a synchronicity to them, but there's also some elements of fragmented skills. So maybe there'll be a lesson on how to do telephone skills and a lesson the following week on presentation skills. So there's a thematic element there, but we do aim to cover quite a wide breadth of employability skills. It's a non-qualification pathway. That is something we're potentially going to review. But with that course, the way we've built in accountability is we've looked at the employer set projects for T-level students, and we've differentiated those. So they have 2 employer set projects in our World of Work T-level foundation, the first of which is happening at the moment. And they sit that in the same kind of examination conditions you'd expect an employer set project to be sat in. And they're given a business brief and they're given a range of tasks they have to achieve. The second employer set project, which they sit in March, April, has a few more of the practical elements that you will see in the T-level employer set projects and occupational specialism assessments. So, for example, they have to have a group discussion, and we videotape that, and then they reflect on that group discussion. And we bring in more reflection as well into that second employer set project. We also, within the world of work, have a range of micro credentials. So they might do like a a digital skills course that gives them a certificate at the end of it. They also do some virtual work placements that give them little certificates, things we think they can add to their CVs, things that they can feel proud of. I've achieved something in the past 2 weeks, and here's my certificate for it. And that kind of is the backbone of our World of Work program. Our business NTO, what with this course, we decided we wanted our NTO, our National Technical Outcomes. We wanted quite a lot of structure for this, and this is our meatiest part of our T-level foundation. So I took the NTOs and I mapped them across a range of different level 2 qualifications. We wanted to offer a level 2 qualification that was different from what we already offered in school. So we offer level 2 enterprise at year 10 and 11, and we offer business GCSE at year 10 and 11. And we wanted something that was quite different because we recognised that we might have students who've done that pathway coming onto the foundation course. And so we went with the 2012 Cambridge Technical course, partly due to the flexibility of the qualification, partly because it mapped so well with our with the NTOs, and partly because we felt it's had a very nice structure to it that it's kind of building blocks in terms of the coursework, which we thought was quite achievable and the students would engage well with. The only area that wasn't covered through Cambridge Technical was the project management skills. And so we've delivered the project management skills through a bespoke project management course that we have designed, which introduces some of the basic project management tools. And the students basically get to plan their own school trip, and they have to use project management tools to plan that. But the aim is they actually have an event to fundraise the money for that school trip. So they end up with 2 different events that they're involved in. And we hold meetings, we have agendas for those meetings. And they have accountabilities and roles. They have to present to our head of school in terms of getting approval for those events. They have to prove the educational worth. Last year we went to Chessington World of Adventures, and they had a learning session at Chessington World of Adventures, and the fundraising event for it was a year 7 cinema night, which was quite simple to organise, but for our students it was very, very empowering. On top of the World of Work and the NTOs, we also allow our students to pick a concentration. So those concentrations are in the T-levels that we offer, and that's 1 lesson a week delivered by one of our T-level specialist staff. Of those, only digital marketing at the moment is coupled to a qualification. We are looking at the health course does the care certificate qualification. So that's a sort of, it's not a GCSE level qualification, but it's a qualification. And we are looking at whether we want to bring qualifications into our other concentrations for 2025 starters. All of our students complete a higher project qualification or an extended project qualification at level 1, 2, or 3, depending on the learner. That is usually rooted in an area that connects to their future T-level program. So we get them to research an area. We're quite generous and broad with the topics they're allowed to research, but they research an area that links to what T-level they would like to be on. We also do bespoke careers engagement throughout the process. So we do things like mock interviews just for T-level foundation students. And then we do a placement for our students, and we look to place them within our federation, partly because the nature of the learners means they need a little bit more of a nurturing environment, and we want to be able to have a little bit more of an accountable to us in terms of the environment. But we try and find placements across our federation, and we're a small federation of schools, and so we can offer quite a variety of placements. And we've had varying levels of success from the students based on the varying levels of employability skills and engagement. But it means when there is a little bit of friction or there's a little bit of difficulty, me and the team, we can kind of intervene very quickly and make sure those placements are successful. And the placements they're hugely important because it's helped shape career goals for children. And it's actually for some of the children really pushed them onto pathways they didn't realise that they were so interested and so talented in. And a good example of that would be one of our students wanted to be a dog groomer. And then she went and did her placement in a primary school, and she's now on our education T-level. And she is absolutely thriving. She actually has been featured in one of the AOC's T-level foundation into T-level videos, and she's phenomenal. And she found that passion through that placement. Within our concentrate, I think I've said this largely, we wanted to add breadth and T-level engagement, and we wanted to make our students T-level specific ready. We're a school, we can't offer loads of NTOs. We have the business core for our NTO. We do project-based work. We try and integrate it with local companies. So our digital marketing work is projects for local businesses. Our media our media concentration, they exist as a little business, and they get commissions of work from around the school and within our federation. And so we might commission them to film this piece of content for us, and they get like a sort of a client for a small period, which is quite nice. We're discussing whether we want to move more to qualifications, just because we want to add breadth to our students' portfolios and their CVs. We haven't fully made the decisions on that for 2025 starters yet, though. And then in terms of our placements, they're in-house. We use it to test out our T-level processes, our paperwork, our health and safety checks. We used it actually as a really good way of checking, before we actually had our first cohort of T-level students going out, that the way we expected to manage those placements work. Our T-level team visit the students. The biggest challenge we had was GDPR concerns, because we had the students working within our own setting. I can't have them working on reception because they would be dealing with too much sensitive student data. And similar, I couldn't have them in the exams office for very similar reasons. So that limited the amount of placements that we could offer. And we've had to be quite thoughtful about the work we give the students, because we cannot let them see data. But that's been largely the biggest barrier that we've had in terms of securing and setting up placements. I've talked a little bit about assessment already. I've talked about the employer set projects. Our NTOs, we have tried to schedule those quite carefully to manage the students' work across the year. We don't load it all up at the end. We do break it across the year. We have linked our route-based project to a qualification. That would be the AQA higher project qualification or extended project qualification, depending on the student. And we do have externally deliverable events, which, for example, the parcel delivery is one of those. The event, they organise the trip, which means they have stakeholders externally that they are accountable to for those, which we found has really helped in kind of giving some form of assessment to those non-tangible skills. So in terms of the top tips, I would say staffing is a really big one. You want to make sure you've got the right staff working with these learners. There are all sorts of reasons they've not got their level 2 grades, and you will have 20 kids and 20 different kind of stories. There's no typical T-level foundation kid, but you do need a member of staff who's really, or a team of staff who are really good at engaging with those students, engaging with those parents, and have a passion for working with level 2 learners. You know, you really have to like and enjoy working with level 2 learners, I think, to be very successful with the foundation. So we've worked really hard to make sure that the staff that are involved in delivering our T-level foundation are really buying into the concept of the T-level foundation, and are passionate about giving these students that second chance to get these qualifications. I think embedding careers guidance is really important. I think that's really important throughout. Not all of our students move on to T-levels. They're not. The biggest barrier for them is English and maths qualifications. That's the biggest barrier. It is the biggest barrier. But we need them to go on to successful next steps. So we need to be able to, at different points, make sure that they are preparing themselves for those next steps. So adding in bespoke career guidance, and that's not just coming from a careers team, it's coming from all of our staff at different points, and, you know, for us connecting and talking to each other about the conversations we've had with the students as well. We're able to make sure that they are planning for the right pathways when they leave us at the end of the T-level foundation. And the last is planning for pastoral welfare. One of the ways we have ensured that we have really robust pastoral welfare for this cohort is by making sure that some of our sixth form management team teach on the course, because then those any small issues that were immediately obvious to our office and they're in our weekly meetings, they're getting discussed. You know, we have very close relationships with the parents of those students, which has really, really helped. And it's also just, there is a pattern to pastoral needs, and it's just worth being aware of those. You know, we always have pastoral challenges just before the November exams, for example. So for the team being ready and aware of that, and expecting that you might have some more anxious children or some more emotional children, I think is really important.